Hello, and welcome to the CAP podcast, led by high school students simply trying to navigate the world of poetry and use poetry to navigate the world. Recently, my high school counselor handed me a paper that I had to fill out with the classes I wanted to take next year. At first thought, I gave it little importance, expecting it to take a few minutes at most to fill out. But as I slowly went through the paper, I realized there were so many classes and options that I had to decide between. I struggled to decide if the leadership elective was worth all the extra time. I struggled to decide if the AP class was worth all the extra anxiety. And I struggled to decide if the zero period was worth getting less sleep. Especially as a high schooler, you are confronted with so many decisions that seem so life-altering, even if they aren't in the grand scheme of things. As a teenager, you lack the experience to properly approach them and are easily influenced by your friends. That is why finding the path that is best for you, regardless of what others are doing, is probably one of the most essential skills to have, as it can make all the difference.
The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. The poem The Road Not Taken, written by Robert Frost, describes a person at a crossroads in their path, not knowing which one to choose. Since the person was alone in their journey, they could only choose one path. This poem discusses the difficulties and challenges in choosing between a path chosen by many people before or venturing onto the other. At the end of the poem, the poet says that he took the one less traveled by and that it made all the difference.
One technical reason why I like this poem is due to the fact that the title and idea of the poem can be applied differently to everybody, as it symbolizes a hard decision in life, something that everyone can relate to. It also shows how decisions cannot be delayed and are inevitable. Also, the road less traveled by, it symbolizes uniqueness and individuality, something that all people should feel about themselves. One line in the story that I connect to on a personal level is, I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. This is because this line shows the narrator's future reflection on the choice that he made that time ago. I like to look back on different events that have happened and reflect on them, sometimes thinking of different scenarios and different things I could have done, which is why I recognize the narrator's actions.
Something controversial about the poem is whether the author believes choosing the road less traveled was a good decision. Many believe that Frost is trying to convey the idea that choosing the less common option had a positive impact on his life. However, if we look towards stanza 4 where he says, I shall be telling this with a sigh, it seems as if Frost has a negative tone and regrets his decision. To me at least, the connotation used by Frost was surely negative, but I suppose there is no right way to analyze poetry. Another interesting line I saw was in stanza 1 where it says, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. I interpreted this line as the narrator overthinking the decision and considering every aspect. As an overthinker myself, I was able to relate with the narrator, as I always consider everything to a point where I confuse myself when making a decision, regardless of how big or small the decision may be.
Robert Frost's poems are often known for their rural life and nature. We can see in the poem that Robert Frost has a notable and unique description and utilization of nature in his poems. This is probably because he spent a lot of time around nature when he lived in New Hampshire for 12 years. Because he grew up in a farming family in New England, many of his poems were inspired by the beauty and challenges of country life. This poem is detailed in describing the two paths and the main message being the struggle in the poet's mind of which path is considered the better one to take. It is about the struggle and conflict in making decisions that, as he states in the poem, makes all the difference. Robert Frost's work is also known for its engagement with the New England localese, identities, and themes. He used literary techniques in The Road Not Taken, such as imagery, to show visual contrast between the two roads and difficult challenges and choices that were made. Robert Frost took a lot of inspiration from Edward Thomas because he was one of the first people to give him positive feedback and encouragement on his work. Robert Frost took inspiration from Thomas's life when writing The Road Not Taken because Thomas was very indecisive and had many regrets regarding what path to take in life.
The poem The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost can be found on the Poetry Foundation's website. Information about the author was found in the websites of Poetry Foundation, poets.org, and biography.com. Background music was sourced from Ben Sound.